bum, 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 bum. Bum, bum, bum. Bum, bum. Ba, 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 bum. Ba, 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 bum. That's right, folks, we're covering the Godzilla NES Creepypasta. If you didn't follow me last time, you need to go check it out, because that was more or less a Creepypasta recommendation and review, whereas this part we're actually going to finish up and conclude and talk about Red. Oh boy. Oh, Red. Oh, Red. Oh, this is going to be a good one, folks. Turn the lights down and the volume up as we journey into some creepy gaming. Don't even do it! How could anything with the title King of the Monsters not have its own creepypasta? It's basically a guarantee with a moniker like that. We will be picking up where we left off, talk about the character known as Red, and continue to praise this creepy magnum opus. If you want to hear the backstory and my summary of the first chapters, then please refer to part 1. Like, really, you should probably really watch it. It would make this part, like, make so much more sense if you just went and watched part 1. We left off with chapter 3, Trance. I made a point to leave off here for 2 reasons. 1, Red just made his first appearance, and 2, what you've heard of the creepypasta is really just kind of been status quo. Some might even use the word cliched, but chapter 3 is where things go off the deep end, and I like it when things go off the deep end. We last left off with our residual creepypasta gamer Zach after his friend gave him a Godzilla Monster of Monster NES cartridge. He played a little bit and noticed that monsters from other Japanese kaiju movies were appearing in this version of the game when they weren't in the original. When he begins the level, now named Trance, he notices another change to the overworld map. This time, a question mark appears. Zachary moves his Godzilla icon over to it and found something he wasn't really expecting. A quiz. Yeah, a quiz. Where is this going exactly? I've read a ton of creepypasta in my day, and this isn't supposed to be how it goes. A quiz? When does Godzilla come out of the screen and kill someone? When do we find a bloody kaiju plushie? What? A quiz? Really? A quiz? It's almost like this was an original idea or something. So, Zach is asked if he likes dogs, I guess. This is where the face comes in. Depending on Zach's answers, one of the following faces would appear. And for those who've never played the real Godzilla game on NES, then believe me when I say this isn't in the game. And no, I am not making this up. This is really how the story goes. I told you, deep end. But this is nothing, especially compared to Red and all the other creepiness. This was just more strange, more original. But the weirdness doesn't stop there. Chapter 3 continues, much like the previous 2, but this time Zack must fight a slew of new kaiju. These disturbing monsters had never been in any Godzilla movie and definitely were never in this game. The new demonic kaiju appeared, rotted, distorted. Some would even say mangled. There were no more attempts at rationalizing this situation. Zack knew something was off, especially when he discovered Orga. Much like the creature Biollante, Orga was in a Godzilla movie, but strangely not at the time of this game's release. Zack tried to explain off Biollante. His film debut and the game's release were close enough, but Orga? He knew the alien Orga did not appear until Godzilla 2000. Might I remind you, this game was released in 1988. That's nothing, though, compared to what Zack was about to witness. As each chapter went on, stage by stage, map by map, Zack saw these bizarre level layouts and a plethora of never-before-seen demonic creatures. Some of the distorted kaiju returned, like Not Magara. Most were variants. Zachary didn't know what disturbing imagery he might see next. There was only one consistent, one guarantee, one certainty that the gamer knew he'd face at the end of each stage. He knew Red was never too far behind. This creepypasta was great at delivering new minions and monsters. There was even a cool new kaiju that I really enjoyed named Solomon. But now, it's time to talk Red. Growing up a Godzilla fan, I always wanted to see a formidable foe for the king of the monsters. I mean, come on, how many times can he fight King Ghidorah? While rereading this creepypasta, I had realized that I had found that formidable foe in Red. You see, typically in a Godzilla film, a new monster is discovered. Godzilla rises from the ocean and defeats his enemies with ease, for the most part. There's typically a scene in the second or third act where Godzilla is taken down or weakened, but he always rises from the rubble to secure his crown as king of the monsters. I guess that's one of the more disturbing aspects I found in this story. I have never seen Godzilla in a more vulnerable position, in a film, game, or any form of media for that matter. Compared to Red, Godzilla for once seems like the underdog. Never mind. Red is brilliant. Red's just badass. Have I mentioned how much I love Red? Red. One eerie aspect I love about this guy is in the same vein of other Japanese monster movies. He evolves. That's right. Just like Mothra in her larva form, or even Shin Gojira, Toho's most recent Godzilla film, Red doesn't just have one grotesque form, but many. He has his spider form, there's his flying form, I don't know, his devil form. He's kind of like Destroya, but more terrifying if you can believe that. And okay, I gotta do this. Sorry, James, it's for you. Destroya! Look at that face. How would you like to be gaming one day and this guy just pop up randomly in whatever game you were playing? Although not the only redeeming aspect, Red was definitely the main aspect, as well as the centerpiece to this creepy story. Red is the backbone of this eerie tale, and the spine in which the shivers run down. Oh, Red. That's not necessary. This creepypasta has a lot of really good moments. Weird locations, distorted enemies, awkward events like the face quiz. I've been covering scary gaming stories for years. If you've been watching me for seasons, then you know I typically don't like creepypasta. I just cover them because my viewers ask me to, and after I do, I might accidentally like it. Some are good, but others are as cliched as a slasher flick. Yeah, I know, I typically don't like creepypasta, but hey, you gotta give credit where credit's due. Does this Godzilla creepypasta have some of the common tropes from various other tales? Of course it does! It takes these things in order to make a gaming creepypasta. The fact that this story has chapters and plenty of media to go with it helps it stand out against the rest. It has a narrative, an actual story arc. While strange and at times maybe a bit pretentious, Godzilla NES is one of the better creepypastas I have ever read. Believe it or not, after reading the final chapter, I was actually, dare I say, disturbed. Now, I do apologize if you thought I was going to tell you the whole story, but if you watched part 1 as I said you should, I clearly stated this would be more like a creepypasta recommendation. So yeah, I'm not going to spoil it for you. I've already been trying hard enough not to spoil anything for you guys. You should really check it out for yourself. It's worth it. I really explained myself last episode when I said that Mudahar and I had already covered this on his channel, and since then my opinions had changed. The link will be in the description of this video as well. A lot of people still requested this for an episode, so I had to give it the creepy gaming treatment. Again, as a recommendation, go check it out. Part of the fun of this story is the slow growing tension one feels from reading chapter to chapter. Oh yeah, so you probably want to know how my opinion has changed. Well, I enjoyed the story then, don't get me wrong, but now I appreciate it. And as a writer, I respect it more now. You see, when we first covered it, everyone, myself included at the time, was in a craze to see if we could find a true, real-life, gaming creepypasta that actually happened. Back then, I was more into debunking the myths. Now, I am more about appreciating it for the entertainment that it is. In my typical research for this episode, I found the original author. Known on the internet as Cosby Daff, this guy will go down in creepy gaming history for his epic creepypasta. His writing, his recreation of classic kaiju, as well as all new monsters like Solomon and Red, all worthy. I tried to reach out to him. I like to talk to the author if I can, but I never heard back by the time this episode went into production. I don't think most people would find it strange, though, that Cosby Daff currently works as a pixel artist, which would explain the amazingly creepy images that accompanied the story. So, there you go. Creepypasta explained. You can tell this wasn't just thrown together overnight. As I said before, there was a lot of thought, time, and effort put into it. Hats off to Cosby Daff. You're still the best! I don't know for sure, but from what I understand, a playable version is currently being developed. But I've been hearing about it for a while, so I don't know what its current state of development is. In closing, the Godzilla NES creepypasta brought a lot to the table. The story is about 10 times the length of your average creepypasta. There's plenty of media to go with it, video, images, or otherwise. Cosby Daff had to be a fan of the Daikaiju genre like myself. He paid homage to Toho Studios and created his own creepy creatures. You could tell this was a major passion project. I encourage that. It doesn't hurt that I genuinely felt disturbed after reading it. And to me, that's what creepy gaming is all about. Well, thank you all for watching, but in the meantime, I'm going to have to do something with this little guy. He's been getting on my nerves. Get in there, little. Well, I hope you all enjoyed. I hope you all enjoyed the Godzilla NES creepypasta. That's probably going to do it for me today, folks. I want to thank you all so much for watching. I am Mullet Mike on full screen saying, keep it sticky, stay creepy. Thanks for watching. Peace.